All right, let's jump right in. We are about to break down one of the most powerful and poetic chapters in the entire book of Genesis. This is a story where a father's last words aren't just a simple goodbye. No, they are prophecies that go on to shape the destiny of an entire nation. I mean, just think about that for a second. Can you imagine your father on his deathbed, calling you and all your siblings together just to lay out exactly what your future is going to be? That is the kind of high-stakes personal drama that we are about to get into. So let's set the scene. You've got the patriarch Jacob, who also goes by the name Israel, and he's old, he's on his deathbed. He calls his 12 sons to his side for one last epic declaration about what's going to happen to them and their descendants in the days to come.
And here's the thing you've got to understand. When the text says blessings, that's not the whole story. Some of these are straight-up curses. Each and every one is a potent, life-altering prophecy that's going to determine the future, the land, and the legacy of each son's entire family line. So let's start with the guys who kind of drew the short straw.
Yeah, Jacob doesn't ease into it with kind words. Nope, he goes right for it, calling out past mistakes and making it crystal clear that your actions have consequences that last for generations. And he starts with his firstborn, Reuben. And wow, the words he uses are just withering.
Oof, can you imagine being the firstborn and hearing that? Turbulent as the waters, you will no longer excel. Jacob is essentially telling him, you, my firstborn, my first sign of strength, your time at the top is done. His birthright, the right to lead and get a double inheritance, gone. So why? What did he do?
The contrast here is just staggering. On the one hand, you have everything that should have been his, power, honor, leadership. And on the other hand, it's all forfeited. It's all stripped away because of one major screw-up from his past, an impulsive act where he slept with his father's concubine. And clearly, Jacob never, ever forgot it.
So next in line are the second and third sons, Simeon and Levi. And Jacob lumps them together, giving them a joint curse that's tied directly to their violent tempers. He doesn't just scold them. He declares that their descendants will be scattered across the land, that they won't get their own unified territory. And what was their crime? Well, it was a horrifyingly violent and vengeful massacre they committed years earlier. Jacob basically says their anger is too fierce, their fury too cruel, and he wants nothing to do with it. This really drives home a key theme here. Character is destiny. Their own violence shattered their future and led directly to their tribes being broken up. Okay, so with the first three sons now basically disqualified from taking the lead, this huge power vacuum opens up. And this is where the story takes a massive turn. The whole narrative shifts, and two other brothers are raised up, brothers who will eventually represent the two great powers in Israel's future. And the first one to rise is the fourth son, Judah. And just listen to this imagery. He's not called turbulent water or a man of anger. No, he is a lion's cub. Right away, you get this powerful symbol of royalty, of strength, of dominance. Jacob even says that his own brothers will bow down to him. Now, to really grasp how huge Judah's blessing is, we have to know this one key term, the scepter. This isn't just a fancy stick, it is the symbol of a king's authority, of sovereignty, the absolute right to rule. And there it is, the absolute peak of Judah's blessing. This single line basically establishes the future royal line of kings, prophesying it centuries before it ever happens. Jacob is declaring that the kings of Israel, the right to rule, will come from Judah's family. It's an incredible moment. The other son who gets elevated is Joseph, who, was always his dad's favorite. But his metaphor isn't about royal power like Judah's. It's about overwhelming abundance and blessing. He's called a fruitful vine, a vine whose branches grow so big they climb right over the wall, a symbol of prosperity that just can't be contained. And the scope of Joseph's blessing is just wow. It's breathtaking. Jacob just piles on every kind of blessing you can think of. Blessings from the sky, blessings from the earth, blessings of fertility for people and for animals. He says the blessing is greater than the ancient mountains. So you get this amazing dynamic. Judah gets the scepter, the kingship, but Joseph, he gets the prosperity, the abundance, the provision. So we've seen the sons who fell from grace and the ones who rose to power. But what about everybody else? Well, the rest of the sons get prophecies that aren't about becoming kings or being disgraced, but they're about defining their unique place in the nation.
It's like Jacob is creating this diverse blueprint where every single tribe has a special role to play. And this gives us such a cool snapshot of the nation they're going to become. You've got Zebulun, the sailors and merchants on the coast. They're the link to the wider world. Then there's Issachar, the raw-boned donkey, the strong workers who are the agricultural backbone of the country. Dan is the snake by the roadside, the clever strategists who win with brains, not just brawn. And Gad is the warrior tribe on the frontier, always being attacked but always fighting back and winning in the end. Each one has a totally distinct identity.
And the list keeps going, each son adding another piece to the puzzle. Asher's land will be so rich it produces food fit for a king. Naphtali is like a doe set free, graceful and swift, maybe hinting at eloquence or artistry. And then there's Benjamin, the youngest, described as a ravenous wolf, a fierce, relentless warrior tribe famous for their skill in battle. See how it all comes together? It's a blueprint for a complete and complex nation.
So, when you step back and look at the whole chapter, it is so much more than a dying father's farewell. It really is a foundational charter for a nation. These beautiful, poetic verses gave each of the 12 tribes their own unique identity, their own purpose, and their own destiny, all woven together into the story of Israel.
And that kind of leaves us with one big question to chew on, right? Was all of this just divine prophecy, a future that was already written in stone? Or was it maybe the result of a dying father's brilliant insight into his own son's personalities, a masterful bit of family politics that ended up shaping history for centuries? The text kind of leaves us to wonder.